Inside Africa.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
Egypt and its hidden history continues to enthrall and excite the world.
This is a place of origins. Africa, East Africa, Egypt, the Nile Valley, it's a place where things started.
For some, unlocking its secrets has become a lifetime's work, bordering on an obsession.
To come back here and peel back sand and look at surfaces that people have not looked at for 100 years, sometimes for 4,500 years, and see things they touched, rooms they moved around in a time when it was the first civilization.
These are the people shining a light onto Egypt's ancient past. This is Inside Africa. Early summer, and at a location just outside Cairo, an extraordinary ancient tomb is revealed to a group of fascinated onlookers.
Wow, we can see remains of a linen.
The tomb, which was discovered in the Saqqara area, is one of the latest of a remarkable set of findings that continue to make Egypt the go-to destination for people with a love of the past.
Although that this tomb, it's a very small tomb, but the colors there are really amazing one.
Never seen before, the Saqqara necropolis contains the tomb of the nobleman Kui. The pride and excitement among Egyptians is almost tangible.
One of the painters, one of the artists, while he was painting, and this color is still wet, he just put his hand on the black color. So now we can see the fingerprint, but really amazing one. And that tomb, which I'm very proud, that Egyptian hands discovered this tomb, which is still in perfect condition of preservation.
While discoveries like this draw in the crowds and the media, it is the fine detail hidden amongst the ruins that continue to attract many of the world's greatest archaeologists to Egypt. For almost half a century, Mark Lehner has been scouring the country for evidence to help him form a more accurate picture of life a long, long time ago. His work, which includes mapping the Great Sphinx and discovering a major part of the lost city of the pyramids, has given him near legendary status in the archaeological community.
So I guess I've been here in Egypt for 46 years and doing archaeology for 40 of those years. Sometimes when I'm back in the States, I think, well, it's time to just come back and round off the wagons and call it a day. But we have a season like this year, I mean, with the sensational finds, and yet there's just such an outpouring of new information. I mean, forget whether we find a new statue or not. We're not looking for things, we're looking for information, and that's the key.
Now generally considered to be one of the most respected Egyptologists of this or any other generation, his initial reason for visiting the country was a little unconventional.
I actually came here as what would be called in America New Ager. I guess there's an impolite British term, a nutter. I was a believer in Atlantis, and I was influenced by Edgar Cayce, the American psychic. I did have this alternative view that probably more people in the world today have than academic, scholarly, traditional archaeology, Egyptology. But I spent every waking moment I could on the Giza Plateau, and it didn't add up to the ideas that I came with, Atlantis, lost civilization. No, looked like the real people, real Egyptians did this, but that became more interesting in its own right. The dumps of the pyramid builders interested me more than the pyramids themselves. I found that discovering new information was like shooting fish in a barrel. All you need to do is pay attention and look. And basically, I'm still looking. And that's so exciting for me to see something. Oh, we didn't know that. We didn't see that before. And after 40 years of doing this, That experience still happens to me almost every time I go up on the plateau.
As passionate now as he was when he first started, his team begin their days early. It's a short drive from the team's base to the site of the pyramids. The final stretch of the journey is completed on foot. Lena takes a very hands-on approach to the dig. He is just one of several highly respected archaeologists on location.
We're at the Giza Plateau. The work behind me is taking place. We're excavating the valley temple of the pharaoh Menkaure. Here we've got a unique opportunity because this is not just a temple. It also was a village, a town inside a temple. So we have monumental archaeology and archaeology in situ here. We also have village and settlement archaeology, and this could provide an enormous amount of valuable information to our understanding how not only monuments in ancient Egypt developed over space and time, but also how they were inhabited, how they were used.
Today, a team of highly skilled local workers excavate the area under the watchful eye of site manager Syed Salah.
فشغالين حضرتك كل يوم بنبدأ الشغل الساعة 7 لحد الساعة 1.
Every day we start work at 7 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. And so far, we have reached a good level. God willing, it will be a good result and a good site. These workers are from Abu Sir, El Zawiya, and Nazlet El Saman. Their parents used to work with antiquities, so they are aware of the nature of the job. There are technicians, and there are those who dig in the ground and remove the sand. The technicians are the ones always close to the monument. Can you imagine that there are people who come to the area and they do not know that this is the temple of Menkaure? I hope this temple is completed and restored to let the whole of the world come and see it, not just the people of Egypt.
All of the work that takes place on the site is overseen by an official from the Ministry of Antiquities.
My duty here at this site is to accompany the archaeological mission. This means that whatever the mission does here, from digging, filming, or any other thing, I supervise it and follow it step by step. Any digging, discovery, I follow up on it and I get a report on it. I collect all the data. The importance of this job is that we dig and we uncover the hidden sites that people are unaware of. Even if the site is uncovered, we bring it to the attention of people and let them know about it. No one can walk out with a pottery or piece of pottery unless it is labelled and registered, and it must be moved from the site by the mission and through me.
While locals call the shots, it is a truly international team that works together on the site. One of Hungary's top archaeologists is a key member of the crew. Like many others on the site, the lure of Egypt and the pyramids proved irresistible.
I mean, look at the view. You look at the pyramids every day, every morning, and I think it's just a pleasure to be here, and it's a privilege to work with Mark Lehner, and it's a privilege to work in Giza. We are looking for the tiny little details, and this is what is very important in archaeology. So sometimes when we find a statue or even a stele, it just doesn't give us that many information as a little piece of textile or a seed of something. It's really like you have to imagine like policemen working on their cases. It's the same in archaeology. Any tiny little information or even the soil samples can give us information about the past.
Nearly everything discovered here ends up at the team's on-site lab, a veritable treasure trove of Egyptian artifacts.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch. For easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
There are all kinds of smiles. The I am blessed smile. The caught you smile. The not a care in the world smile. and the wish I were a child smile. Kirloskar, behind a million smiles, silently and reliably.
This is the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. From here, we'll bring you the events moving the business world.
The Express, weekdays on CNN. Sunday, Trump gets the royal treatment in Japan as the trade war with China and the fight to rein in North Korea rage on. Fareed and the panel take on the state of U.S.-Asia relations. Fareed Zakaria, GPS, Sunday. Reliable sources, Sunday on CNN.
Egypt and its ancient history has held the world spellbound for centuries. One man, more than most perhaps, has been caught up in the captivating spell this country weaves. For almost 50 years, archaeologist Mark Lehner has been trying to unravel Egypt's secrets.
Here in the northeast corner of Africa, something really sensational happened in a very confined space, the Nile Valley. Ancient Egyptian civilization. Pyramids are the first efflorescence of that civilization, the first blossoming of it. And so they're key. And I think what happened here in ancient Egypt was so unique. So context is everything in modern archaeology. It's more like a detective story where there's been a crime. Something happened. A detective will go in and will look at all the evidence, the tracks across the room, the broken window, and try to infer what happened. That's what we do now.
Lehner is director of Ancient Egypt Research Associates. If he takes on the Sherlock Holmes role in investigating Egypt's secrets, then Richard Redding is definitely the Dr. Watson. The chief research officer for the organization, he oversees their lab in the desert.
Well, one of the things I've learned, I think, very deeply is the connectivity of it all. How deeply connected people are in the past and at present. All my Egyptian colleagues, I love working with them now. They're really dedicated. They got, all of you say they have a fire in their gut to get out there and really understand what's going on and work. And you look at the past and you see that same connectivity out there at the site. You have to sit back and visualize. This must have been a tremendous construction site at the time of construction of any one of these pyramids. That thousands of people out here all working together with a common goal. And people constantly say, well, how do they do it? And one of the things that I've always said is that you have to remember that in the Old Kingdom, they didn't have television, they didn't have radio, they didn't have internet. They worked from sunrise to sunset, and they did that 9 days out of a 10-day week. And it's amazing what you can accomplish with a bunch of people in that period of time with not the distractions we have in our everyday society.
This season, there are many Egyptians working in the lab. Highly dedicated, they all have their own unique set of skills.
The actual catfish piece.
Mohammed Ahmed specializes in bones and the diet of ancient Egyptians. The origin of bone soup that is still served in Egyptian restaurants to this day.
This soup, but you eat it with bread.
Can be tracked back to what was being served to the laborers who worked on the construction of the pyramids.
Yeah, I choose to learn archaeology in general because I love my history. And this history is not mine, it's not for Egyptian, it's the history of the world. We can understand every pieces of bones, of Lissek, more than anybody, because it's our life, our daily life. Every pieces give us a story for the people who live in this period.
While he looks at what people ate, lithic specialist Samar Ibrahim is fascinated by the tools used to prepare food and to eat it.
All boxes include several types of lithic materials. These tools are started from the prehistoric period when the human lived in the cave and make some stone tools to get his subsistence. This is from Menkaura Valley Temple. Yeah, and this is like the whole tool. And this tool, it is a knife. It is used for daily life, for slaughter, butchering, something like that.
Redding is proud of the workforce they have put together.
No, they all have a very deep pride in Egyptian history and the depth of Egyptian history. They're taught it in school. Most of the people that come out here have shown interest, and in university have had a degree, an undergraduate degree, in Egyptology or in some area of archaeology or history. And they come out here because they really want to advance. They really want to get the techniques, the skills that they need to really understand and to explain the great depth of Egyptian history.
With such a diverse workforce, it is important that they use the same methodology to log their discoveries.
You've got this, haven't you? This is probably the edge of the
Yes, but I have that point as well.
Oh, you've got out here.
Yes.
On this excavation, they use a system called single context recording that was developed in the 1970s by the Museum of London Archaeology.
It allows archaeologists to record archaeological sites in a very consistent way, and also to use those records long time after the event. You can go back and analyse them and look at them again. What single context recording does, very simply, is break down the physical evidence on an archaeological site into the smallest possible unit, which is one single process or activity or event that has left a mark in the ground. If you don't have a system like this, and what happened in the past with a lot of archaeological recording, and still happens in some parts of the world, is that archaeologists you can understand why, start at the top and dig in spits, or, an arbitrary spit of 10-centimetre layer. And so they'll take everything from that 10-centimetre layer and call that layer 1, and put it in a bag, and layer 2, and put it in a bag, and so on. But if we've got our urban site with all these things cutting through, you could have something from the 20th century cutting through a prehistoric layer, and you're keeping all those artifacts together, and it just doesn't make sense. So that's the sort of problem that single context recording solved.
Back on the excavation site, a high-profile guest has arrived and is keen to have a look around.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch. For easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
There are all kinds of smiles. The everything will be fine smile. The my daddy is the best smile. The not a care in the world smile. And the wish I were a child smile. Kirloskar, behind a million smiles, silently and reliably.
Tuesday, an exclusive interview for the first time ever with an American TV network. German Chancellor Angela Merkel sits down for an in-depth conversation, one-on-one with Christiane Amanpour, Tuesday on CNN.
Earlier this year, American rock band the Red Hot Chili Peppers performed in front of Egypt's ancient pyramids. The show attracted huge crowds, and tens of thousands of people also tuned in on social media. Despite being constructed thousands of years ago, the pyramids have always played a prominent role in popular culture. In 1978, archaeologist Mark Lehner attended a concert by the rock band Grateful Dead at the same venue. It was at the start of his time in Egypt, the beginning of a relationship that persists to this day.
That lower floor is just a constructional surface?
It was his fascination with the lives of people from the past that inspired him then and now.
I increasingly was interested in the people. Where are all the people? Because my colleagues are saying that it may have taken 20 to 30,000 people to build the pyramids. But if that were the case, it would be a super city for the 3rd millennium BC, as big as any city in the world at that time. Well, where is this lost city? What would the excavation of where the people were settled, what would it tell us about their everyday lives? And in fact, not only what would it tell us about how the Egyptians built the pyramids, but in terms of collecting all these people and all these resources for building the pyramids, how did the pyramids help to build Egypt, you see? In terms of why anybody should care about this in a larger sense, how did the pyramids help to build the world we live in today? How did Egypt help build the world we live in today?
In modern Egypt, excavation work is closely supervised by the government. This is a far cry from earlier times, when explorers came to the country and took priceless artifacts home with them. Lena and his team are well known by senior figures involved in the world of Egyptian antiquities.
We found some metal mesh.
On this dig, they are joined by a special guest. In 1980,
Shukran.
Walter Gilbert won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry. A man of endless curiosity, he is fascinated by this tiny corner of the world and the secrets it holds.
All through my life, I've probably had some level of interest in ancient civilizations and ancient archaeology. In the late 90s, I became very interested in classical antiquities and art, both Roman and Greek and Egyptian. And that interest continued to the present.
Can we step over this? Syed Mumkin?
The more we understand the flow of human history, the better off we are. We tend to live in a short-term present.
So here's the floor level, Wally, where they found the triads way up here?
Americans especially tend not to have any view of history. We live in a new country that's only a few hundred years old, and we think that's eternity.
Key to the success of future archaeological breakthroughs is the continued training of Egyptian people. The American Research Center in Egypt runs field schools throughout the country.
1995 was our first field school, which have now trained hundreds of Egyptian inspectors, archaeologists, conservators, which has had a dramatic impact on basically increasing their capacity to take care and be the stewards of Egyptian cultural heritage.
Drawing what you see and not believing dailies. Perfect.
We always knew that this is something we wanted to very much partner with Egypt on, but it was also very much the request of Egypt to help to increase their capacity. So it's very much been a partnership from the beginning.
أولاً أنا من الأقصر. تمام فأي حد كده طفل صغير من الأقصر.
So for anyone from Luxor since childhood, you see tourists and tourist guides. So first I wanted to be a tourist guide like most of us in Luxor, but it is bigger than that. There are things that come out of excavations. My heart brought me to the field of ceramics, and it is where I found myself more. We are not specialists in excavations, but we have to know how things go, first in digging and excavating, before we deal with the material that comes out of the ground.
An Egyptian team was responsible for the recent discovery at Saqqara.
People are curious about anything mysterious. Ancient Egypt, when you say the word of ancient Egypt, it means mysterious. It means mummies, it means pyramids, and people are running behind this news. In fact, our work is about the future, not about the past, because we understand the future, we understand today from the past. We know that ancient Egyptians ruled the world with peace and with technology and with all what they did. We have to understand what they were doing because we have to put ourselves in the right position, because modern Egypt should be in the best position as it was in ancient Egypt.
As long as people like Lena continue looking, knowledge levels will increase and new discoveries will be made, depending on their size and scale. They will draw crowds and attract international attention.
Artists forget to color here. Forget to color, to paint this one. Exactly. What does it mean? It means that they were humans.
While this may be gratifying and bring with it a little glory, there is, one senses, a deeper goal that continues to drive Lena and his team.
It's amazing to me how little I know, and I just put together a sheet with about 8 new questions that I really need to look into. And I do this almost every year, and it's just like a tree that you're trying to go up, and branches go off this way and branches go off that way, and it's just kind of a never-ending tree that you can explore and try and understand.
So my interest in this area will never be satisfied. You know, you say that, you know, we're looking way into the deep past, we're looking back 4,000 or 5,000 years, but that's almost like a catalyst. It's almost like a rocket that interests me in where we're going in the future. First of all, the archaeological record is disappearing. You know, I'm sorry the Buddhists have it right that in all the world nothing is truly permanent. So I've been here 46 years and I can see the changes. And I think it should be a high priority that we save information. Now, obviously, we have to try, and we will succeed in conserving things for future generations, like the Great Sphinx or the temple where we're excavating now. But I think a real priority for me is conserving information as urbanism is inexorably expanding, as the archaeological record, you know, becomes harder and harder to retrieve and read, you know, freezing, capturing the information before it's gone.
Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
There are all kinds of smiles. The I am blessed smile. The caught you smile. The not a care in the world smile. And the wish I were a child smile. Kirloskar, behind a million smiles, silently and reliably.
The straight talk you need from your man in Washington, who won't back down. The Lead with Jake Tapper, weeknights on CNN.